College tuition is steep and rising, so if you are a high school grad, you may be wondering, is going to college even worth it? Well, maybe not. 24/7 Wall Street used 2013 data from the Labor Department, and they compiled a list of the best paying jobs you can get. Coming at number 5, power plant operators. They made a median of $68,000 last year, but pay for this job may be high due to the late night shifts. Power plants, you may have noticed, need to run around the clock, and those operators work in shifts. Next up, commercial pilots. They made about $74,000 last year, and the industry is expected to grow. But flying requires pilots to log a certain number of flight hours, and you need to pass a medical and written and flight exams. Number 3, detectives and criminal investigators. They make roughly $77,000. Careers often begin in the police force, and entry usually involves physical and written exams, a drug test, and training at a police academy. Elevator installers and repairmen come in at number 2 with a median income of $79,000. The industry is expected to grow nearly 25% in the next 10 years, making this an attractive field. Most states require you to have a license to work on elevators, and the job typically requires 5 years of study and apprenticeship training, so it's not an easy gig. Drumroll please, number 1. Another growing industry, transportation, storage and distribution. That's a mouthful, but managers in this field made about $84,000. The job typically requires a high level of management skill. I'm Simon Constable for the Wall Street Journal.
If you are after the big bucks, I meant to say at work, you need to trade in the suit for a safety vest and steel-capped boots. That's because blue-collar workers are now the best paid in the country, according to new research by Suncorp. Now, the company's spokesperson, Tony Meredith, is here to explain the shift. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Mel.
So run us through these ones. And first of all, if it's a big surprise, did it
It is a big surprise. I guess the biggest thing from the Suncorp Bank Wage Report is it really knocks that notion around, blue collar versus white collar and the stigma around that on its head, because it's showing that blue collar industries really are the wage elite now.
So let's go through the particular industries, because that's what people wants to know, and which ones are the best paid jobs in Australia.
Well, we obviously all know about the mining industry, so that's not really a surprise. But when we look through the rest in terms of utilities, financial services, media and communications, they're the typical ones. But then we move through construction, public safety, manufacturing and even wholesale trade. Blue collar industries really make up 6 of the top 10 highest wage industries these days.
Why?
Well, part of it's just demand. We've got a low unemployment rate. We've got strong demand for those industries, and that's really driving wage growth. So for young people out there looking for a career choice, you may be better off with a fluoro vest from Monday to Friday rather than a university degree.
Okay, how long though do you predict this will last? Is this a phase we're in at the moment?
I don't think so. I mean, unless the unemployment rate changes or offshore demand changes for resources, we should see this gap between blue collar and white collar even extend further over the next 5 to 10 years.
Okay, so why then are we seeing, why are white collar jobs moving back? Is it because financial circles, is it because it's affecting those areas?
Well, it's just changing nature, so there's always winners and losers. So financial services, typical sort of old school industry, which I'm in, probably has gone backwards a bit, where media and communications, professional services, scientific services, they're really powering ahead. So when our pollies talk about, the digital and smart economy, they're the ones actually going ahead. And the old school ones around financial services are moving backwards.
Yeah. Look, hopefully that'll help a lot of kids who are at that point trying to decide what to do with their future, and this is some pretty good news for them. So I really appreciate you coming in, Tony.
Great. Thanks, Mel.